Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Girl Dad Girls. I'm one of your hosts, Brianna St. Marie. We have that QT Danny B. We have Michaela Garcia
Hola.
and Maddie Lynn Jacobs. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you for having me.
Yay, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so tell us about yourself. Where you from? What do you do? All that awesome stuff behind you?
So that's all my Star Wars stuff. I'm a big nerd. Grew up
Yeah.
on it. I'm an old person, so I grew up on the original series in the theaters. Uh,
Hell yeah.
but yeah, I'm a big nerd, so I collect all these. Usually for Christmas, my kids and my wife get me some toys. So I hope that
That's
so never goes away.
Cool.
But yeah, my
that's
entire I would
awesome.
show you the rest of the room, but it's a lot crazier than that. So it might be a
Yeah.
little embarrassing. But
Crazier
Let's
than
do
that?
let's do it. An MTV Cribs episode.
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, I live in California, live in just outside LA. I grew up in Idaho, so I was a real hick. Worked on farms. I've done a whole bunch of stuff. But now I'm a director of software engineering for an entertainment company.
Yeah. Woo.
So yeah,
A bunch of nerds.
bunch of nerds. That's right. I love being.
A bunch of nerd stuff.
Yeah, so we
That
can
was
talk
such a
about
good
coding.
introduction about yourself. I'm so bad at talking about myself. I was literally like, I have brown hair, brown eyes, I'm 5'8". I didn't know what to say.
I'm a person. I live on this planet.
That's all that really matters, right?
Well, have you heard that? Like, I've heard that there are 4 or 5 professions that every 90% of the trans girls fall into, which is like engineer. What are the other one? It's like
Cab
engineering.
driver.
Yeah, like ex-military apparently was a big one
Military.
too.
Oh,
And yeah, there's like 4 main ones, but I feel like engineering is like a really big one because there's like everybody that I know is like, oh yeah, so it was just software for 10 years and decided that I was trans. Like those things are not related, but kinda.
I know a lot of people that are in the entertainment industry too, writers, producers, and whatnot. So I used to do that too. So I guess I fall in both categories. So
Yeah.
um,
perfect.
So how long have you been transitioning?
it's about 3 years ago, I came out February 2021. So
Oh
I told
wow,
my wife in January and started hormones a month later. So
that's
yeah, it's
awesome.
been
Nice.
amazing.
What's
Was there any
amazing is
like
that y'all are still
catalyst that?
together. That's just awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole story. Like we broke up. I moved out. Got and so we're together. We're living together. So we have a house. I have like an apartment over here, and then she's got the rest of the house with the kids. So we have our separate living spaces, but we're still married and don't plan on getting divorced. We're not romantic anymore,
Wow.
but we're certainly best friends, and that's probably the way it's going to stay. So it was
Yeah.
really rocky there for a bit, though, and we had to like really get at it with each other and just be brutally honest for a long time. And eventually, we're like, "Oh, I guess we're good." I'm like, yeah, I guess we're good. So here we are. The problem is we both
I think
like men,
Cool.
so it's not gonna.
I think it's so cool that you got to keep your friendship with her. That was my like ultimate goal with my ex-wife. I wanted to remain friends because she was my best friend for
Yeah.
15, 16 years. But I don't know, once I got bigger boobs than her, she really started to hate me. So,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I waited so long.
Something happens when that goes in play.
Right? Yeah, when I first came out, we started going out, and she was like, "Well, I'm not going to be the butch one," So I get all dressed up. She's like, "Oh, now I have to get dressed up. I don't like this." So, but
Yeah. That's so interesting that you were able to like, yeah, to keep the friendship going too. Though I know with me personally, like I came out and she immediately was like, "There's no way I'm gonna be attracted to a woman." It's like, yeah, but I'm still like a pretty manly woman, obviously, as anybody who knows me can attest. Um,
I kind of
but
went through that same thing. I was like, I still have my penis. That's
yeah,
at least
it'll work.
23% male for you.
That makes me manly by itself, right?
Right. Was there
Yeah.
was there anything that like any catalyst that back when you came out, was there anything that caused you to pushed you over that line? Because I know for a lot of us, there's a lot of voices in the back of our head saying to do it, but like we all need that one little um, straw to to come out?
Yeah, I mean, it was a culmination of things, and I've felt this way, probably since I was 6 or so. I
Mhm.
had a friend back then who said, "When I grow up, I'm going to be a woman." I'm like, "That's what I want to do too." And it was like the first like realization, like, yeah, that's it. And I went home and told my parents, and they're like, "Well, boys are boys and girls are girls, and that's just the way it is."
Oh,
Like, okay, well, I guess that's over. But so I just kind of committed to
Show
that
you.
life. Right. And I'm like I said, I'm a little older, so back in the 80s, and I guess that was late 70s, there wasn't really any conversation about that. It was just like, oh, those are weird people. And so everything was like mash,
yeah.
and the clinger, and you were a joke, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a joke. So then I realized later that that's not a joke, and you're very normal and all that. But it took me a while. But what really happened was I downloaded that stupid Face app, and I saw myself for the first time, and like, holy shit, I got to do that. Oh, am I allowed to swear? Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
saw myself, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I have to do this now. And it took me 2 more years, but it was every birthday I just got really depressed, because like another year gone, and I'm getting older, and I started seeing that older dude in the mirror, and I'm like, I can't do it anymore. And that was kind of the last step. I was going to turn 46, and like, I got to do it. And
Yeah.
I hope everybody accepts it, but I just don't care anymore. I don't want to live like
Yeah.
this anymore. And so I did it and dropped the bomb. And really, it wasn't all that much of a bomb. Like, my wife and I tried to make it work for about 6 to 8 months, realizing it's not going to work romantically, and there was resentment and all that kind of stuff. But everyone that I came out to was just really cool and very supportive, except for like a couple people. And I'm like, oh well, I was supposed to lose everything. What's going on here? I was supposed to lose my job and
Yeah.
my family, but it didn't happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
And I know I'm very blessed
Yeah.
in that way. I'm very lucky, because that's not usually the story. And but yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just freaking happy as hell now. So
Well,
awesome.
how are birthdays now? Because
I
yeah, I know. Oh,
no,
yeah, I know. For me, like well, go. You can start. Go ahead.
I hate my birthday still, because I'm getting old, and
Okay.
like I'm gonna be 50 in another year, and like 50 years old. And I have goals, and I want to like get super buff, and fighting age and the whole thing. But it's no longer like feeling like I'm wasting my life anymore. It's more like, I just really have to make things count now. So it's like it's a shift
Yeah.
now, where I usually don't go out on my birthday. My friend Dana, I don't know if you guys know Dana. She's my best friend, but she's also on Instagram. Anyways, she's just gonna take me out. So I usually just go out with like one person, and like just
Yeah.
go have a drink. But I don't like to celebrate it. I'm weird that way. I'm kind of an introvert, honestly. I really love my alone time, and I just that's why Instagram's kind of an outlet for me, because I can like explode all my nonsense, and just kind of leave it there, and then I can go do my own thing. So
I love it.
So you came out when you were 45?
46, yeah.
46.
Right after my 46th birthday.
And you've been
Wow.
transitioning for, you said, how long? 3 years?
Yeah, it'll be 3 years in January. So
My goodness, you look fantastic.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. You really
can
do.
Yeah,
compare
you
myself.
do. You don't look it at all.
I
I
Um.
thought you were like 24.
Oh my god, you're my new favorite person.
So your name is Maddie.
Maddie.
I wanted to ask you how you came up with that name and if
Yeah.
it's short for
I mean,
anything.
it was actually really easy. So my previous name was Matt, and I had a lot of friends who already called me Maddie, like Matty. And then I'm like, actually, really, I didn't. When they call me that, I felt like you're calling me like a girl's name, and I'm like, I kind of like that. So yeah, keep calling me Maddie. That's great.
Mhm.
And so when I came out, I'm like, I played with a bunch of different names, Madison, and a bunch of other stuff. But I'm just like, I want to bring some of my old self into my new self, because I really believe in that connection with it, I guess. And so I'm like, well, it's Maddie with Madi. And a lot of friends that already call me that. Nothing to change for you, but that's kind of how I came up with it. And it just really fit with me. And then I changed my middle name to the same middle name as my mom and my sister. So
That's awesome.
Nice. And
Oh
what's your middle
no.
name and your social security number? Just kidding.
Social?
And a list of your
I'll
fears.
tell you after in the after party.
And what are the
Uh,
answers to your most common security questions?
Oh,
I forgot.
that's I'm
I
so
forgot
glad.
me
It
too.
seems like it's really kind of like it's really all coming together. I know for me especially, like it a lot of it fell apart right
Yeah.
away. Did you? It sounded like at the beginning you kind of were trying to figure out what you wanted to do in terms of your relationship and everything. Had you thought about like did you I guess did you ever get to the point where you're like, I need to stop doing
Oh yeah.
this and consider going back into the closet for the sake of your family and stuff?
Yes.
How,
Twice.
how did you talk yourself out of that?
My wife talked me out of it.
She talked you out of it.
Yeah. She's like,
Wow.
No
She's like,
shit.
"Why are you doing it?" Because I started dressing in, in my old clothes, and because I still saved a few, so I started doing that. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I just can't do this anymore. Like, I'm worried about the kids, and I don't want to lose you." And then I started spiraling. I stopped taking hormones and the whole thing. And she's
Yeah.
like, "You can't. Like, this is you." Maddie, this is you. I know that it's you. I haven't seen you this happy in our entire relationship. So like you owe it to yourself to see this through. And I'm like, okay,
Wow.
I guess you're right.
That's
I know you're right, but it's
yeah.
scary, it's hard. It's really hard.
That's amazing support. That's
I,
awesome.
when I came out, like speaking of support, like she took me and like helped me with my makeup, took me shopping, did the whole thing, and just kind of really showed me, the moves, right? And she's like, when I'm walking, she's like, "You're walking like a dude. You're walking like a dude. Like do this." And so like, and I really took that
Oh,
criticism from her, not in a like you're putting me down, more like she really is trying to build me up. And it was after that, it was just I cried so many times in front of the mirror just doing my makeup, and she's like, "All right, let's do it again." And she sat down next to me and did it again. Like she's a phenomenal woman. Like
cute.
she's like my soulmate, and I keep teasing her like, "If you only had a penis, like this would work out great." And she's like, "Yeah, you too." Like, but I do. I'm just like, "You're not keeping it though, so all right, Pam."
um, One of the other things that I was surprised by was the people that I was expecting to have a really negative reaction.
Mm,
Like I have friends here in Central Virginia who I was expecting they were gonna drop me
yeah.
and or like have really bad reactions. Did you have anybody that you went into it thinking you were gonna lose them as a friend? I remember I thought I heard you say something about you were worried that you were gonna like lose your job and everything. What were like some of your bad reactions that turned out a lot better than you were expecting?
Well, everybody I thought I was going to lose. So, like going into it, I'm like, all right. After when I'm coming out, like I'm expecting this to go bad, and just that's how my head works. I always expect the worst, and maybe it's a defense
Yep.
mechanism. I don't know.
I think probably just an engineering
Yeah,
thing. It's like if we expect the worst, we're at least satisfied. If it goes better than we were expecting, pleasantly
right.
surprised.
But everybody was just really amazing, except, and even the people that said, "Oh, it's fine," like those are the ones that I like. There's two that then distance themselves, and one was like my best friend for I don't know how long, and he distanced himself. He's like, "I just can't ever see you or accept you as this." I'm like, "All right, I get it. I still love you, but hopefully we'll come together again one day." But everybody else was just like, "Cool, whatever." Even my job, which I was really worried about, it was a little weird. It was mostly because I'd worked with these people for 10, 15 years, so they had a really hard time seeing me as myself, and the
Yeah.
misgendering and say my old name and stuff. It took a while for them to get there, but they eventually did. And then I just realized, I have to like go out on my own and interview and get a new job where people just didn't know me, so I don't have that like shadow hanging around. Not that it really bothered me, but I wanted people to just see me as me now and not like have that
Yeah.
history. Like they couldn't let that history go, and it was affecting them more than it was affecting me. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of life in the small town is
I bet.
everybody here is everybody knew David.
Right.
So Obviously, I'm having a hard time letting it go anyway. So,
Well, I mean, I love my old self. I'm very proud of everything that I did. I raised a family. I
yeah,
got a job. I won an Emmy. Like, there's lots of things that I'm just like, I lived a great life, and I shouldn't, like, as much as like I suffered during that time. I had a lot of great times, so I can't
yeah,
put that person down. And like like I said, I have a different relationship that I know a lot of trans women do. So I love seeing.
I am loving your whole outlook on life.
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Remind me of
Can we
somebody I know.
roll back
Yeah.
to the Emmy thing?
Oh yeah.
Emmy? Oh, hold on.
No, it's just no, it's just
Oh, that's real? I thought that was one of those
It's just
Universal Studios
in all
things
this
you could
other
buy.
junk.
Emmy.
Oh,
wow.
Got
cool.
my old name on it, but there it is. So yeah,
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing.
thank
Congratulations. That's
you,
awesome.
thank you. I wanted software
Wow.
development of all things. I was
Wait,
a TV producer for a long time, and I never got anything. And then when I left the industry to go into software, I built some software for the NFL, and they used it to launch this new platform. And they wrote a story on about JFK and football, and I'm not into football at all, by the way. That's why it's so funny. But they won an Emmy, and since I built the software that they wrote the story on, I got the Emmy as well. So
what the hell am I doing with my life? God. I'm like, I've been in software for fucking like 20 years and I've never won a fucking Emmy.
Why do you know the?
I didn't even know I could win an Emmy.
I
Are you
didn't
kidding
either. It
me?
was like a total surprise because I hated the project. It was the worst freaking project. But then at the end of it, they're like, "Yeah, you won an Emmy." I'm like, "What? Really?" So as soon as I got that, I sent it to like my old executive producers. I'm like, "Hey, look, I finally got it. No thanks to you."
Oh,
Anyway,
So when
how
you put in for like a new job, do you put that in your
of course I
qualifications,
do.
like
Yeah.
Emmy
oh my
winner?
god, I absolutely yeah.
Yeah.
That's
When I
awesome.
was freelancing, I would say Emmy award winning software producer, which doesn't make any sense at
Oh,
all.
cool.
But like now I can rack my rates up.
That's so great.
That's awesome.
How did you make this? Oh, Mika, go ahead.
Me? I have a question.
Oh, do you have a question? Oh,
I do, but I
you.
wasn't the one talking. Um, Maddie,
Sorry.
in our pre-interview, I asked you a little bit about your kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the podcast is called Girl
Yeah.
Dads. So I wanted to know how they took your coming out, especially since they're a little bit older than
Yeah. It
my kids.
was like I was so scared, obviously. But my son, when I came out, my wife started getting a bunch of books because that's how she is. She researches the hell out of everything. So she was reading a book with a boy body in pink on the front page and a girl body in blue. And my son said, why are they like that?" And my wife said, "Well, sometimes boys feel like girls and girls feel like boys." Just trying to like figure out how to tell. He was 7 at the time, and I haven't told him yet. And he said, "Oh, is that like Daddy?" And my wife's like, "Wow, yeah, it is like Daddy." And then that's when I'm like had to come out like, "Hey, buddy, this is how it is." And he said, I don't care, boy or girl, I love you anyways. You're my dad. You always be my dad."
Aw.
And I'm just like, "Oh
Awesome.
my god." And he
Yeah.
and I are still like, he's my like twin, which was also really hard because the worst part about me transitioning was he was sad that I lost my mustache, which looked like total hell on me, but he loved that I had a mustache. And then like, so that was the hardest thing for him to get over, was that we don't look alike anymore. And that piece took a little bit for him to figure out, but we're still as close as we ever are, and it's still amazing. And my daughter pretty much said, whatever, I don't care." She said, "I like you much better this way," because I was so absent. I spent most of my time playing video games or staying up all hours of the night, or working, and I was never with them. And so once after I came out, I was like, I don't have to lock myself in my room anymore. I can actually be present. And they're like, we love you so much now. Like, you're so much happier. You're actually
Yeah.
here with us, and like we just missed that. It was like, oh my god, I'm gonna
That's
start crying.
Oh,
no, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
So I mean, yeah, they still call me dad. I tried to get my son to like call me Maddie, because it was when I first came out and I was with him and going out in public, and he's like, "Hey, Dad!" screaming from the side, the other side of the store or whatever. I'm like, "Ooh," and then I'm like, you know what? Who friggin' cares? I'm always gonna be his dad. Why should I like
Well,
deny him telling saying that to me? Like, if you want to call me something else one day, great, do it. But otherwise, I'm your dad. I'll always be your dad, and you can call me that. And
yeah.
Love it.
yeah, so that's a subject me and my friend Dana talk about a lot, because she doesn't have that same thing with it, and I know we all feel differently, but it's more about like the public and how they look at you when you're all dressed up nice and someone's calling you dad. It's like you immediately see them go, what? And
Yeah.
sometimes that's hard to deal with, but I've gotten to the point where I really don't care what other people think, and I don't know how I got there, but as soon as I got there, I'm like, wow, that's so freeing. Like, you can say anything to me and I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck. Like, wow, what power I've just taken for myself. And again, I wish I knew how I did it, but I think a lot of it had to do with my wife. She got me a book that says "How to Not Give a Fuck," and I read that, and I'm like, this helps. So she's the queen of not giving a fuck, and I admire her for it.
Um,
How did I not know? It
one
was
one
so
thing
easy.
that I did,
Right?
yeah,
You just don't give a fuck.
but
That's
it's like,
it.
fuck. Um, one thing that we did talk about also before the episode that I do want to highlight, and I feel like this may have a contributing factor, is you are friggin' ripped. I mean, I thought I
Want me to
was
flex again?
strong, but oh my
Oh my goodness.
god, temperature goes
Oh,
Bring the
up.
gun show.
Like
Um,
that?
but yeah, so one of the things that I've kind of realized about like my situation, especially, is like a lot of the girls that I know around the area that I'm in get picked on when they're small and petite,
Mhm.
because people feel like they see a trans woman and they're like, okay, I can make fun of that trans woman, versus like when they see me, they're like, that I can make fun of that trans woman, but I'm gonna get my face bashed in. Um, do you ever think that like get that kind of like feeling, or do you think most people are just kind of like like just leave you alone because I mean, California is pretty
It's
open.
pretty open. I go up to Idaho though and visit my parents, and that's like
Um,
redneckville. But honestly, so I've always admired the strong women, like Linda Hamilton and Terminator and Ripley and the American
mm,
Gladiators. Like, those are the women that I looked up to, and like that's what I never wanted to be, a buff dude. But as soon as I transitioned, I'm like, all right, time to get the muscles snap. So like this is all over the past 3 years of just like starting to build,
really?
and it was part of it
Wow.
was that, what, if I'm a tough woman, then those assholes are going to think twice about saying some shit to me, and I could probably beat them
Exactly.
up. So like it gave me that
Yeah.
confidence that I didn't have before, like, and probably helped with my don't give a fuck attitude. Is like, say what you want to me, dude, I'll kick your ass, if I have to.
Yeah.
But it lost the worry of how people are going to react to me in public, because like, I can defend myself now, or I just am a little, hey, look at that, see, you look
Oh,
good.
Mika.
Like nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely helped for sure.
Yeah, I think walking around, especially without sleeves on, I think people can kind of, they see that I have my anger issues right there, and there's like, you know what? I don't need that 5-fingered facial reconstruction right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, that
So,
too. I mean, I'm
like,
I'm not a fighter. I'm a total hippie lover, but I like to portray that anyways, that I'm a tough chick.
yeah, that's awesome. How did you
I'm
pick
actually really
software?
glad you brought up Linda Hamilton.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Oh,
Because
in that movie,
that was somebody from my childhood. I watched Terminator and I was like, can I be like her? Like, holy
right?
shit. She's doing pull ups on her bed that she flipped up sideways.
Right. Me too. I know
It
exactly
was
what
that
you're
one
talking
scene that did it for me. It was just done.
about.
that's awesome. But yeah, so you went from TV to software. How did you make that shift?
So I went to film school, in Montana of all places. But when I came down here,
Mm.
I came down here to be like a big time director, because in Montana, I got sponsored by Pabst Blue Ribbon to do snowboard and ski movies for them. So at the time, I thought it was like big time. I
Wait.
mean, they were just pretty much paying me in beer, but it was great for college. But I was like, oh, I made it. Now I can go make it in LA as a director. Let's do this. And I got down and I got rejected over and over again, and eventually I got hired on. I'm sure you've seen the show Blind Date. It's a reality TV show about they put people on dates and they have thought bubbles going above their head. It's kind of like a making fun of everybody show. And I worked on that, and then I did another reality show, and I just got stuck in that reality show of like I just felt these shows were like taking advantage of people, and I felt my soul being sucked out. And I worked my way up to be a producer on those, and I was a development producer, so I'd come up with new reality shows then and pitch them to studios and all that. And when we had this pilot, the executive producer, who I was an assistant for, he promoted me to a real producer. And during one of the shows, he said something like he asked me to go get him a burrito or something. I'm like, okay, I'll go get your burrito, even though we have PAs to do that now. Like I shouldn't be doing this, but whatever. I'm a team player. And so then I brought it back to him, and he looked at it, and he's like, this is the wrong burrito. I'm like, that's what you ordered. And he's like, I need you to go back right now and get it to me. And I looked at it, and I looked at him, and I threw the friggin' burrito against the wall, and I'm like, I'm done.
No
I'm done. Bye. And that was it.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. This is not fulfilling my soul at all. And I've always been a computer dork. I started with computers when I was like 8, learning BASIC on a really shitty trash 80.
Wow.
There was no Google at the time to learn how to use computers. You kind
Yeah.
of had to do it, which is kind of cool. And I'm like, you know what? I always loved computers. Let me see if I can make a go at that. And so I taught myself to code Flash at the time. And
Oh, ActionScript?
yeah, ActionScript. And
Yeah.
like, wow, this is great. And then I developed this piece of software for comic book people to publish their comics online back before there was web comics or any of that kind of stuff. And I sold it. And I'm like, I guess this is what I'm doing. So they bought my software, hired me on to be, the CEO of that, and paid me a shitload of
What
stock. That then the company went bankrupt about a year or two later. Now the stock's worth nothing. But for a moment, I was a millionaire. But that's kind of what got me started. Like everything I've ever done was always it feels like it's out of luck, or like I had a big event happen to me, and like, oh, I guess I'm doing this now. So I just kind of go with my gut on it, and that's where it led me.
How I've built so many freaking projects that no one gives a crap about, and damn it.
Me too. I built a lot. I mean, before I came out, that was my life. I would spend my entire time in my office just coding until 3 a.m. until I was so tired I couldn't even do anything. That was the only way I could get to sleep, because if I laid there in bed, I just kept thinking about everything else, her and the whole life that I wanted to live, and I wouldn't be able to sleep, so I just exhausted myself, and I was not healthy. But anyways, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, it's wow. Yeah, it's so strange how like we all kind of have these like very self defeating kind of things that we do. I know with me, like I spiraled down to drinking pretty heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I would also mire myself in projects. Like I had all these projects. If anyone who goes on my personal site can see all the projects that I like crammed through because I just needed something to occupy the 10, 15 people that live in my head.
Totally.
But
that's all you have?
like,
Nice. I'm jealous.
yeah. I've dwindled them down. Yeah, I drank some of them to death. So
for me, it was pot. I was a huge stoner, 24/7, wake and bake, stoned all the time. And I'm not like that anymore. I still partake, but I got it under control. So.
That's awesome. How did your family, like your extended family, do you have brothers and sisters? And if so, how do they take everything?
Yeah, that was, I mean, my dad passed away, and that was part of a catalyst for me as well, actually, because he had Alzheimer's. He was living with us down here, and so my mom came and took him away. And after that, I'm like, oh, I can finally come out now, because I didn't have to worry about him. I was because he and I were just really tight, really good, and he was like a manly man, a cowboy, old school, and I was just I couldn't. I felt like I'd be disappointing him, and now I wish I would have told him to see all this, because I think I know he would have loved me anyways. He just,
Yeah.
but I was nervous about it. But my mom and sister, I have a sister who's older. She's a vet in Idaho. They're all rednecks, I love them, but they're all definitely hicks and whatnot. But they surprised me, honestly. They have a hard time calling me Maddie. They always call me Matt, and they still struggle with the he she stuff. And like I said, last time I went up there, they're like, "We're so sorry. We're doing this. We're trying." I'm like, honestly, that's all I can ask. You know, for me, I don't care what you guys call me. I love you, and I know you're trying. As long as you're trying, that's all I can ask. And it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt my feelings that you have known me my entire life like this, and now it's taking you some time to get there. As long as you're trying to get there, then that's great. But my
Yeah.
sister was always like a total tomboy, and like I probably wear more makeup than she does, and way more girly
Really?
than she is. And she just couldn't understand why I would want to do those things. Not that, that's my brother, who's now my sister, is like, well, why do you want to wear makeup? Like, I don't wear makeup. Why do you want boobs? I hate my
Yeah.
boobs. And like, well, I,
I mean, isn't that kind of the whole thing is like people who don't get it don't get
right.
it. It's yeah, I have so many people, so many friends who are like, yeah, but you had such a great life as David, and it's like, yeah, but like you don't understand the pain that comes with like everybody thinks this is some kind of damn choice. And it's like, oh yeah, why did you choose to do? And it's like I didn't. I swear to God, I didn't. I wouldn't choose
Who
this.
like that's
So
the thing. Who would choose this? Like, I love my life. I love who I am. I'm proud of who I am. But I certainly wouldn't like want to go through this. Like, I tried everything to
yeah,
not go through it. It's not a
yeah.
choice. It's not a choice at all. So
A- Anybody who's gotten to watch me suffer through whatever's going on here, it's like, yeah, I would not have
I
chosen to do
I
that to do this.
often tell my wife, like, because after electrolysis, because I'm prepping here and there, like, it's hours of torture. I'm like, anyone that says that this is a choice, just go do that for an hour, and you tell me if this is a choice or not, because you would not do this, like, just to like get into a bathroom or where the fuck you think this is all about. Like, that's not true, and we put ourselves through so much
Yeah,
torture just to be ourselves. And if someone
yeah.
can't see like this is real, then sorry.
Well,
So speaking of all that, that leads me into another question I had for you. So Danny, did any part of womanhood surprise you after, or Maddie, sorry, it surprised you after coming out as Maddie, or being
Any
as Maddie?
part of womanhood.
Yeah, like something you weren't expecting, and you're like, oh,
You know what?
wasn't so sure about this part.
Yeah, no, like I mean, I got harassed by dudes, I got mansplained by dudes. I was kind of expecting all that. What I didn't expect was feeling so comfortable without makeup and just wearing my blue jeans and hat and just pretty much dressing like I used to dress. I used to think that when I first came out, like I had to be uber feminine in order for people to accept me. And like, well, that's how girls are supposed to look. I kept spinning that yarn in my head. Like, this is how it's supposed to go. And realizing that that's all bullshit and you can just do whatever the hell you want. That's what surprised me the most. And I feel
yeah,
just so comfortable. Like I'm wearing a little makeup now, but I don't really wear makeup at all. And I realize that being a woman has nothing to do with any of that. And that's what surprised me. It's not
yeah.
about the presentation, though it is a little bit, but I mean, it is, but it's more than that, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's just
You are so cool. Can we be friends?
yes. Do you live in California too?
I do. I live near Anaheim.
Oh shit, we're close.
There you
We
go.
gotta hang out one time. All
Okay.
right. Anyway, uh, yeah,
That's
that's what
Easy
really.
done.
awesome. That's
But
awesome.
I love that, and I wish more people could see that it doesn't it doesn't matter. And honestly, it didn't matter as a man either. It's just the society, puts more pressure on that. But if I could have just been a cis woman, I would probably have just been a tomboy and exactly like I am now. Like I like this, and I think people need to realize that it's not just that and this. It's anything you want, and I don't. People have a hard time understanding that, and
Yeah,
I'm not going to grow a
yeah.
beard anymore, but you could.
Bree, did you have a question? Is that what the wave the hands for?
Yeah, sorry. Apparently, I'm running behind, so I have to like raise my hand
Oh,
now. It's something you said earlier about women being able to wear whatever the hell they want. That just struck a bell in my head. I used to say that all the time, especially to my ex-wife. I was like, "You guys get to wear whatever the fuck you want, and
that's
no
right.
one questions it." It's like if we wear whatever the fuck we want as men, it's like, okay, you get to go through the ringer, and you're fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like y'all get to wear a
Yeah.
burlap sack and call it couture. Like,
Right.
okay, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
whatever the
I
fuck
don't
you
know
want
why
to
it's like
do.
that. Like, if you're not a manly man, you're not a man. And, I wasn't a man, but, there are guys that are just a little more feminine. Doesn't mean that they're a trans woman. They're just a little more feminine, and they get made so much. Especially when I was growing up there in Idaho, like any sign of femininity in a man, you got beaten up. And that's
Yeah.
that's what I
Same in
lived in.
Virginia. Yeah.
And that's probably why I went in the closet so hard, and I denied myself any kind of satisfaction of my true self because I knew that I just would get beat up or something would happen. So I shoved it so far down. I wouldn't do anything. I didn't dress up. I didn't do anything until like I was like 43. So I was so scared of someone finding out because of how I grew up, and it's just stupid. It's freaking stupid.
Well, was there anything that you did like? I know for me personally, like I started working out a whole bunch because that was I told myself if I could work out and I would appreciate my body more as a guy. But the more I worked out, the less I liked myself. Was there anything that you did as sort of like a metaphorical beard to kind of like cover over and sort of make yourself seem like you were enjoying the body that you were in?
Yeah. I mean, I tried the facial hair. Like I said, my son loved my
Oh yeah.
mustache, but I looked like a high school kid, that had just trying to do a mustache. It was so bad. And the beard, like it was patchy, but I'm like, I'm looking pretty doodly now. I'm looking great. And I was not, but it certainly helped. It was like my last ditch effort. But I would do all kinds of stuff. I'd go hunting, even though I don't like hunting and killing things. I did that to kind of prove that I was a man, and I hated every freaking moment of it. But I wasn't gonna let anybody know that, and that was like a family tradition in my family to go hunting and be with the dudes. And I would come back from those trips, and my wife would be like, "Wow, you seem more manly right now." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm feeling real manly. Let's do it." But it lasted a day or two. I'm like, that sucked. I don't want to do that again. And after I
Yeah.
came out, I told my family, I'm like, I'm never doing that again. Like, I don't know why I did it for so long, but yeah, I did a lot of that type of stuff. Mostly I was just stoned all the time and kind of not there, honestly. So,
Yeah.
wearing the same
Yeah.
clothes every day, baggy shirt,
Oh
baggy
yeah.
pants, whatever's on the floor is what I'll take. I just did not
Yeah.
care. And I'll be honest, I do that now, but it's different now because I look cuter now. So
These jeans only have 2 days on them. They're fine.
that's fine. Once you hit a few months is where you really need to start questioning it.
Yeah, right.
So,
They're being a
Maddie,
little stiff right now, so maybe wash them.
Maddie, clearly you're a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Have you been to Star Wars Land at Disneyland?
I
Wait, can we say Disneyland on a podcast? Do we have to say like Mouse Land?
Oh,
I don't
I gotta
know.
mark it.
Like,
Mark it.
um,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just
I have. I just went. I took my family a month or two ago. I hadn't been to Disneyland since. So yeah, I got to fly the Millennium Falcon and do the light speed thing, and I was totally playing the part in there, and everybody was just looking at me like I was a little crazy. But yes, I loved it. It was so cool.
Have you ladies been to Star Wars Land?
No.
No.
Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, you could drive like she said, the Millennium Falcon. Like there's 2 pilots in the front, there's 2 engineers, right? And then there's 2 gunners, I think.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
I went back
Whoa.
and did every position. So I like all the positions.
Ooh.
Story of my life.
I knew someone would pick that one up, but yes, it was
We
cool.
we should go deep on some of those positions.
God. But I wrote a Star Wars comic book back for Dark Horse. I got to come up with my own Jedi and do this whole thing. It was really cool. So like Star Wars is so close to my heart, and it was my escape growing up. You know, I lived in Idaho, so I it snowed, and every winter I'd go out and be able to play Luke and Hoth and reaching out for Obi-Wan, and I was such a nerd.
Absolutely. I built everyone.
It was my escape. Like that's where I lived
Yeah.
for a long time, is Star Wars. And
Were you able to
Wait,
build a lightsaber or a droid at Disneyland?
I did.
Yeah, what color?
I think it's here. Here's my lightsaber.
Oh my god. Oh,
It's big, right?
Californians.
It's big.
Damn it.
It's a big saber.
You Californians do such cool things.
What color lightsaber did you pick?
What's that?
What color did you pick for the lightsaber?
Oh, I have to go blue for Luke. I had a
Okay,
huge crush
nice.
on Luke. He was anyway.
Mark
Do you
Hamill,
do you have that
Greenberg.
that comic that you did? Is there a link to it, to a digital copy?
It's out of print because after Disney bought it, Lucasfilm, they pretty much shut all that canon down. So, but I do have a Wikipedia page. The comic's called the Order of Outcasts for the Star Wars Clone Wars Adventures. So I do have a Wikipedia page, which is kind of cool.
Awesome.
It's my old name, but like I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah.
God, you're like the coolest person ever. Oh my god.
I've done a lot of weird things.
Who do you think you relate to the most in the Star Wars universe?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, probably Boba Fett. I'm kind of a loner.
Really?
Yeah, I'm kind of a loner, and the idea of like, because he's good but bad, and I'm kind of
He gets his money.
yeah.
He's money.
But he's after himself, and he's he's got the connection with his father, and kind of he kind of went this route because of his father and the relationship they had, and seeing his head get cut off. I guess it's not his. I mean, it's its father. Like if they're clones, that's a little weird, though, right? His father clone. But anyways, I just really like that idea of being off alone on your own on an adventure. Like I go on solo camping trips, and I really like my alone time and doing that, and kind of being self-sufficient and independent. So that's what I really like about Boba Fett. Like he didn't answer anyone other than Darth Vader, but you kind of have to answer to Darth Vader. But yeah, Boba Fett. That's why I have so many Boba Fett things. So, and
I would say I most relate to Chewbacca,
And
but only because I have a really hairy bush.
well, that makes sense. And do you sound like Chewbacca in bed?
Yeah, that's the only time though. Yeah, whenever I orgasm, I sound like I'm
Now
gargling.
that is cool.
Did y'all ever play that that warm up game? The getting to know you game where it's like your favorite color, your favorite ice cream, and your favorite Disney princess.
No.
It was like one of those whenever you were like in a new group and they'd go around and say like say your name, favorite something. And Disney Princess was always so hard until Disney bought LucasArts, and it was like, of course, Princess Leia now.
Yeah.
Duh. I mean, duh. Because I always say Moana, and everybody's like, she's not a princess. It's like, go fuck yourself.
I like Princess Leia too. She's a badass. I mean, I have a lot of little Princess Leia things hanging around, but I have so many figures. It's
I love all the little shit you keep pulling out.
And, these are not euphemisms.
Yeah.
Well, Maddie or Mika, is it time for the Mika Minute?
I think it's time for the Mika Minute.
We have a fun little segment called the Mika Minute,
right.
and Mika just asks a bunch of fun questions that she comes up with because she's a genius.
Yeah, I like to change it up from talking about all the trans
Yeah,
stuff. I think
right.
that gets kind of boring. So let's ask some more fun personal
Okay.
questions. So I'm going to read all three of these, and then take your time answering them any way you want.
Okay.
So question one: what role would you play in a group of survivors during a zombie apocalypse? Number two: what celebrity would you choose to play you in a movie about your life? And three: farts, funny or gross?
Well, the last one's easy. It's funny, and everybody knows that it's funny. And those that don't know
Thank
it's
you.
funny, like you need to do some self-discovery there. But
I think my rule is farts are funny unless they're silent.
then they're
Silent
deadly.
farts aren't funny.
um, all right. Wow, those are some fun questions. Sorry, I've already forgotten the first one. What was it?
First one is: what role would you play in a group of survivors
That's.
during a
I
zombie
mean, that's
apocalypse?
easy. I would be the leader.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm.
you'd be the Rick Grimes.
Yeah, right. Yes, of course. Growing up in Idaho, I know how to use a gun. I'm very fluent with firearms, and I could definitely take care of myself. And my wife's actually a better shot than I am, but I'm kind of a tough girl, and I like to protect people, especially the people that I love. So I would love to have
Maddie,
the
God,
opportunity.
stay.
And I'm an Eagle
Ugh,
Scout,
you stole my
so
heart.
I know survival
Oh,
and how to do wilderness. So I think I do pretty good in an apocalypse.
Nice.
Um,
yeah.
and the second one was who would play me in a movie or in my
Yeah,
life?
about your life. Yeah.
Wow. Um,
If you don't
wow.
say
I
Linda
don't.
Hamilton.
Right.
We get it. We get that was awesome.
Well,
Mika.
that's interesting because most of my life was spent as a guy. So it would, you know, I've always like thought Leonardo DiCaprio, but would he look good as a woman?
Not as good as you.
I really don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one. Um,
I've got an
that's a
answer
tough.
for that one for myself.
Yeah. Okay. Who?
Who?
For your life,
Eddie
right?
Redmayne. Yeah.
Who's that?
You don't know who Eddie Redmayne is?
No.
Is he from the Danish Girl movie?
Yes, because he's already done it.
Oh,
He's good at
okay.
it.
This is where we're gonna pop a picture down of
Yeah.
who that is
Yeah.
in the podcast.
Oh my God.
I haven't
He's
seen that.
also in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Him. He's the main guy.
Oh, okay,
He's
okay.
Dreamboat.
Yeah.
I worked in
Yeah.
industry, but
There
I
you go.
stuck with actors' names and stuff. Like, oh, it's that guy or that girl, whatever. But I have a bit of
I think for
ADHD
me,
too, so
Newt. I just remembered his name.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I would like Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. I think he'd do a good job.
really,
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it'd be hard to pick somebody who would I guess would transition well. Apparently, I used to look like Nick Carter from the back one of the 98 degree one of those bands.
Backstreet
Apparently,
Boys.
that was like he
I
was
hate that
apparently
I
was my
know that.
doppelganger. I'm not sure if he'd look good as a girl. I'm not sure if I'd look good as a girl. So, but
Whatever
maybe
you
yeah. So,
do. I got called
ah,
Kid Rock a lot because I used to wear like flat round brim hats, and I had a bit of a what do they call that when you party in the back?
mul-
Uh,
mullet.
mullet.
A mullet.
Yes. I had a bit of a mullet in my previous life. So yeah, I got called Kid Rock a lot. I'm like, okay, I can't wear this stuff anymore. I gotta cut my hair.
Oh,
That is not the compliment that I want.
well,
Ladies,
actually,
oh
oh, go ahead, Mika.
yeah, ladies, I wanted to ask this question to all of you last time, but I kept forgetting. When you first started transitioning, was there like a celebrity that you wanted to like kind of base your look on, or kind of your goal was to look like at the end?
You know,
Huh.
not really, because I was convinced I was gonna be a really my ex-wife told me I was gonna be a really ugly girl, so I was like, as long as I'm not ugly, then I'll be good. I did do the face app, the face the face swap, and I was like, I'm gonna target that. Turns out it's nothing like what I look like, but yeah.
I idolized this girl in high school, who I actually told her after I came out that she was like my inspiration of like what I wanted to look like and my style and everything. And she was like, "Oh my God, that's so amazing." But everybody thought I had a crush on her. I really just wanted to be her. But it's
Yeah,
blue jeans, a
yeah,
white shirt, but like just cool and like a feminine tomboy, like but that's my sister too. Like all the women I admire are not very feminine, like girlies. They're all like tough girls, and I really like that. So
yeah.
Nice. How
No,
about
I
you,
agree.
Bree? Anyone?
Yeah, mine has always been and continues to be Emma Stone.
Ooh,
Ooh, nice.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
nice.
Mika, what was yours?
Mine was actually Zoe Deschanel. I used
Oh,
to
nice.
love
Oh,
her look with the
wow.
bangs and the
Oh,
long
Oh,
brown
I love
hair
wow.
and the
her.
kind
She's
of like
great.
adorable
Nice.
thing.
Um, so I have to ask. So you said you had the Kid Rock mullet going on. Is that all your natural hair?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
I
that's
just cut it actually. It used to be down to here. But
and when you started transitioning, how long was your hair?
probably here. I've always had long hair. Like that was the one thing that I had about me that like I felt like I was living on the edge, with long hair.
Yeah,
And my dad used to say, "Cut that hair, you hippie," and I'm like, "No, I don't want
yeah,
to." And so I've always had long hair. I went through my phases where I was trying to boy it up more, and I cut it, and I'm just like, "Ooh, I don't like this." So
yeah.
that's been my connection to myself. So yeah, I dyed it blonde, but yeah, otherwise it's my real hair. I never
That's
had to
awesome.
do the wig though. I bought a wig off Amazon, or no, it was Wish. Do you ever use Wish for any of that crappy
Yeah,
shit? It
Oh my God.
was like
yeah.
a $2 wig. It looks so bad.
Like Timu before Timu was Timu.
Oh, Timu, yes, that
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
But oh my God, it was so bad. I wore it once. I'm like, ooh, I cannot let anyone see me in this, especially not my wife. And so I threw it away. But
yeah. I found that like, especially when because my hair was like, I mean, I got a haircut right before starting hormones because seemed like a good idea.
oh no,
But so I tried the wigs once it was like a little bit longer, and yeah, like I feel like wigs are really good if you don't have like a lot of extra hair to kind of like cover up. But once you have a substantial amount, it's just kind of like you just get that lump, and it's kind of and some of it starts to show
yeah,
through.
there's
Yeah, like I know a number of girls who don't have they kind of have lost most of their hair,
no.
but and so the wigs really work out really well for them. But yeah, there's something about having hair and then trying to put more on it that just didn't
Yeah.
work for me.
If I didn't have
But
like hair, I would totally just shave my head and wear a different wig every day. I think that would be fun, honestly. It
yeah,
could get real crazy. That sounds cool. But
yeah, like Moira Rose.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Oh my God, I love that show. It's so funny.
such a great show. That was one of the things I was really sad about when I started transitioning is I couldn't relate to the Ooh David anymore because I always love that
Yeah,
Ooh
you
David.
did.
It's like
Yeah.
no one says Ooh Danny now, although actually they do, but uh, usually in private.
Oh my God. You are the slutty one.
I am. I am. I'm the thirsty one too. If you haven't watched any of our other
I
episodes,
have, yes.
but
I was prepared for
okay,
that. So
good.
it's good. I'm usually the one
Oh
that's
Um,
my
like,
gosh.
doing all that. So it's good to have some competition.
so, so what is something that in the next 6 months you're really looking forward to about life in general or about your transition?
Well, I'm gonna have FFS, so I I'm excited about that. I'm scared about it, but I am excited. I wasn't gonna do it, and then I said, what the hell? I only have one life, so why not? I get really scared with surgeries, though, and it's not that I don't want it; it's just that I don't want to die. And I'm always go to the worst case scenario, and I'm thinking, well, if I go in surgery, I'm gonna die. I mean, and that's not true, but
Yeah.
that's how my head works. So I talked to my wife, and she's like, you're beautiful, but if this is what you need, then freaking do it. You're gonna be fine. You're gonna look great. So just go for it. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm going through the whole process for bottom surgery and all that, and that should be sometime next year. And
Fun.
other than that, I'm just
Well, not fun,
writing
but
my book, and I'm
yeah.
excited to break the writer's
Yeah,
block.
yeah. Tell us about the book. You'd mentioned that earlier, and I really wanted to dig into it. What's it about? How did you like how is it writing a book?
It's hard. It's very hard. I've written so
That's
many
what he said.
comics. I've written probably 12 different movie scripts. But writing a novel is a whole different beast, and I love it because you get into the prose, and I can really expand on all the shit that you can't like in a comic book or a script. But I've just found I've had writer's block really bad lately. I don't know if I'm just anxious about the next year, but I go through these spurts where I write a shitload and then I'm off for 3 months trying to struggle to get past a sentence. So, but the book is about, in short, it's like a post-apocalypse, sci-fi, cyberpunkish coming-of-age story, I guess is the best way that I can explain it. And the main character is a young trans woman who's going through the apocalypse. She's 16 and kind of on her own with her little brother, and it's just their experience of surviving this. And I don't really like the trans part of it is very subtle. Like you probably wouldn't even know unless you caught the hints that she is trans. And so I just wanted
Yeah,
to write a story that's fun and it's exciting and also kind of has my own personal touch to it in a way that like people that, because the minute someone says, oh, there's a trans person in it, like they're going to think one thing or the other. And I just wanted to be
totally.
like,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
a backhanded slap across the face when they finish it, going, "Oh shit, that was she was trans. Oh my god!" And I really liked it. Wow. Okay, maybe trans people are just normal. Like I don't know. I have this belief that the more subtle I can be about all that, the more people are just gonna like, "Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, I guess it's not a big deal." And I don't know if that's true, but that's my approach to life is not to be in your
Yeah.
face about stuff and just like let you come to the realization that, hey, I'm cool, fuck off, kind of that approach versus like,
Yeah.
when first came out, I was wearing all the colors, transits, everything was all trans all the time, and now it's more like in the background for me. Certainly, like I said, I'm happy and I'm proud of who I am, but I want people to see me as a person first and then go, oh, there's something unique about you, and what is that? And then, if you talk to me, you're gonna
Yeah.
know, right? Like I have a deep voice, like you can't hide those things. But I don't know. I approach life a little differently.
We have so much in common,
Yeah,
Maddie. I think we're gonna be the
Yeah.
bestest of friends.
nice. I love it. And you're local. I don't know. That's great.
Um, so how do you start writing a book? Like, did you just sit down one day and like open up Word
Yeah,
and just start
yeah.
typing, or was it like you came up with? Are you working with somebody, or is
No,
it just
no.
sort of like
I
on a
don't. I
whim?
don't co-write. I tried that back in the day, but I'm not good at it. I'm so independent, and I just need to do it my own. But this one, actually, there was a Modest Mouse song. I forgot the actual name of it, but it's a wild pack of family dogs came running through the yard one day. Do you guys know that song at all? No, okay. Anyways, I love that song, and that whole sentence spawned this idea about a story of a girl running from a wild pack of family dogs that had turned into mutants, and it's kind of like, oh, that's fun. So I wrote the first sentence, which turned into the first page, which turned into the first chapter, and I'm like, holy shit, that just kind of exploded out of me. I guess I have to write
Wow,
this. And that's usually how it works for me.
that's
If I plan too
amazing.
much, I'm never going to do it. If I just sit and write, then
Yeah.
I just let things come naturally. So.
Wow.
But I'm really
I
stoked
love
with it. I
that.
really love it. I read it to my family, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is really good." And I'm like, "Really? It really is?
Nice.
You really think so?" So
That's awesome.
yeah, I'll finish it one day.
Wow. Yeah, like my mom she's working on her second book, and I have no idea how any of that stuff works. It seems like you just have to have like time created for you
Yeah,
somehow. Like, where do you ever find time for that? You just like do it when you're like at
yeah.
home
I
waiting on
Yeah, no,
something,
I
or
mean, I write on my phone, so like usually if I try to not get on Instagram, and instead I write on my notepad and just try to change my
yeah,
habits a little bit. But honestly, when you hit that bug, like you make the time. Like when you get the writer's bug, like everything that you're always thinking about is all about that book. And you almost can't help yourself.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I have to sit down and write. Like I need to sit down and write because I need it. You know, I have to do it right
Yeah.
now. The last stuff that I've written, like I worked in IT for a little bit. So I had this idea about IT people. I hated. I did user support, and I hated the stupid users like answering the phone. Yeah, friggin' turn on your computer and turn it off again, or whatever. Like it was bad. Typical
Blowing
user
it. Yeah.
support. So I'm like these stupid users. I'm like, I wish that they just could all be zombies, so I could take them out. And like, hey, that's a story. Let's write that story. And so I wrote Stupid Users, which is about an IT team that is saving the human race from this virus that's turning people into these energy zombies from a spam email. And
Wait, is that a book or is that
here's another little show and tell. It's actually a board game, a card game that I wrote a graphic novel to too. So we did it on Kickstarter. And so I have a graphic novel and board game for that. But that's what I've been working on mostly for the past 3 years. We released it right when COVID came out, and then the industry kind of died, and so we've just been like going to conventions and selling it. But that's kind of the project that I've been pushing around lately. So
holy crap! You are the most freaking interesting person.
I love board
Good
games.
Lord.
I'm so obsessed with board games. So I'm like, I want to do one now, and so I did it.
Wow.
But that book is great because it's all my own personal therapy rolled into a comic, and so that I wrote that in no time at all.
I mean, I totally get with the whole writers thing. Like when I get a site idea or like an app idea, it's like there's nothing that's really going to stop me before busting out. Like it's why I carry my laptop with me, like essentially everywhere. It's because you never know when it's going to hit you, and you have to be able to like at least map something down. But yeah, absolutely get that.
I am
And I find that
unfortunately
like
the
it's really
complete.
good for like. Go ahead, Mika.
I was gonna say I'm unfortunately the complete opposite. I have so many projects and ideas up in here, but I never have the time or energy to get them out. I wish I did.
It's hard.
I never really did until until I got this forced freedom of divorce. But yeah, it's like I don't know. I use it as like as an escape, like a creative escape. Like I was talking to some people recently, and they're like, "When do you ever have time for that?" And it's like, well, one of the guys that I was talking to like painted, and I was like, "When do you have time to paint?" And he goes, I use it as a relaxation." It's like, well, that's what this is for me. It's just creative time.
Right.
It's nobody. It's not. I'm not doing it for a job. That's kind of what this podcast is. It's kind of like this is just our creative time. So.
Oh, we're not getting paid for this?
Oh shit!
Oh
Wait.
No,
I thought I was
those
getting paid.
invoices you've been sending, or
wasn't this a paid gig?
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, this
I'm
changes
union,
everything.
so I need to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Checks in the mail, honey.
Oh, thank you.
I'm still waiting on
That's
mine.
awesome. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's been the podcast has definitely been fun because we get to interview really cool people like you. Have you done any other like interviews or any things since you started coming out?
Yeah, I did the Transverse Network a year and a half
fun.
ago.
Oh yeah,
That's back
Emily.
when I thought I was. Yeah, Emily. Yeah. That's back when I thought I was
Yeah.
actually non-binary. Like, I went through a phase where I thought I was non-binary, and I realized, okay, I don't know. But I'm just trying to understand, like, because everyone that I know doesn't have the relationship that I have with my old self, and I even have a tattoo that I did when I was on mushrooms. That's all about like bringing your old self with the new self, and like holding hands versus pushing away. And I'm like, well, I need that Matt energy with the Maddie energy in order to be whole. I'm like, does that make me non-binary? Like, and I went through a phase where I was really trying to understand it. And so that was a much different interview than this one is. So,
yeah. Well, that actually is kind of something that I'd love to get your thoughts on, because I know with me, like a lot of people get frustrated with me because I do imbibe a lot of my old personality. Obviously, it's because it's hard to get rid of, and there are things that I really enjoyed about myself, which I don't know if they were me attributes or they were the guy attributes, or they were just sort of me personally. But like but yeah, like, how did you decide that like you weren't non-binary, you were actually a trans woman? Like, I guess I'm not really. I don't really understand how like what the switch would be
Um,
between deciding that this is
I,
not. I'm not both.
if I'm being
Neither.
honest, and this is gonna sound crazy, but it was my mushroom tip. I did a mushroom trip to have a spiritual experience to answer the question of, because I stopped doing estrogen too, and I started feeling I had a lot of anxiety about it. Like, oh shit, am I gonna go back? You know, like, are things gonna revert? And I don't like that. And I'm like, well, wait, if you're non-binary, why does it matter? Because you're cool with both, right? And I even started dressing up both ways. I went to some men's bathrooms as a dude. I'm like, let's see how this feels. I'm like, that doesn't feel too bad. Like, I don't care. And I was just trying to like prove it to myself. But so I'm like, I really need to have like this. I don't know if you've done shrooms, but every time I've done shrooms in my life, it was to explore some sort of spiritual, existential question that I'm dealing with. And that was it. And I had this amazing mushroom trip that was like watching a movie of my life with my old self and my new self. And the third me, let's say my old self and the self that if I was born a cis female, and then me, all three of them were in there. And they were working on this body, and at the end, long story short, I won't get into a very trippy story, but they were making a body, and at the end it all melted away and it was me. And it was the realization that not that I'm not a trans woman, it's just that I need both of those energies in order to become the person that I want to be, which is a trans woman. It doesn't make me non-binary. The fact that I love my old self, like, come on, it's it's not that I didn't feel like a woman. I didn't really feel like a man either, but I felt certainly more like a woman. And I did want all
Yeah.
the surgeries. I did want to experience this life in the way that I wanted to experience, and I didn't want to regret any of that. And I'm like, okay, you're really what's going on is you're scared of the surgeries, you're scared of all that stuff, and that's no reason. You can't live your life in fear anymore. You have to just move forward. Because I've always limited myself from fear of what's going to happen, or like I said, I always think I'm just going to die or something like that. Something like on the drastic level that never is going to happen probably, but I'm convinced that it will. And so once I got through that whole crazy trip and came out the other side the next day, I'm like, oh shit, I guess I'm not non-binary. And I started estrogen again, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this now for real. I'm going to do this now. And that's really what it was. Um, it's kind
Yeah.
of crazy.
Wow, drugs sound amazing.
And I like lifting weights and being buff, and I just thought, well, does that make me not as womanly? I'm like, fuck that, it does. Like, come on, don't be stupid.
Well, that's what seems like it seems like there's a lot of people out there who are like almost the gatekeepers of what it means to be
Yeah,
trans. And I know like especially, and I know I talk about them a bunch and they're probably going to get mad at me, but the people I work with are very much like they hate the fact that I'm doing surgeries. They're like, "Oh, to be a trans woman, you like it's almost like that like you shouldn't do that because of
it's
it makes you like, some sort of like some big surgeries puppet or something like
like,
that." But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy the fact that like you kind of you figure it out for yourself. Like,
yeah.
what does it mean, and that you can appreciate your last self without having to be this like sort of androgynous. Like you can be yourself while still appreciating your
Yeah,
former
and
self.
like a lot of it was everyone, all my friends, they hated their past selves. They can't even talk about it. They can't even discuss it. And I'm like, well, I don't feel that way. So maybe I'm not like you guys,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm different. But I think it's just, we all have shit to get through. You got to do the work to get through it. Some of us do, some of us don't. And I think it's actually very healthy to maybe not like talk about it all the time, but at least forgive that person, because a lot of us have so much anger and like resentment towards that person, and I get it, but like you got to get over that and like accept that you did your best and they got you here. So you can't be angry about
Yeah.
that person anymore. You have to love that person in order to find the real love inside yourself, as hippie as that sounds. That's what I believe. And
Yeah.
once I did that and came to those terms, I'm like, oh shit, this is easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, David, I did soak up as I will attest, basically on every episode, I guess now, is I soaked the crap out of that white male privilege. Like I did, I drank that shit
Yeah,
up, and it got me to where I am. And so of course, I will always say it's like Bree said it really well in one of the last episodes. Is like and I don't want to take your word for you, but basically it's like, yeah, he was in charge for a long time, and as Bree said, it's my turn to drive,
yeah,
and that was a
exactly.
beautiful, beautiful sentiment
Yeah, love
Yeah.
that.
um,
Yep,
from Lady Bree.
your
So
turn's over. Yep, that's kind of how I felt. I'm taking over now. You had your moment, and
yeah. Um, so in California, I know over on the East Coast, it's very conservative. Is it is it really as free as I was over there, 2 weeks ago, and it seemed like there was a lot of acceptance over there? Are you finding that, like, especially people of our, like it's late 30s, late 40s, do you find a lot of pushback?
I honestly have never been harassed, never had anything said to me, especially Claremont,
Okay.
which is weird. It's a little older, and but it's super liberal, and they have pride flags hanging everywhere, and but I've never had one problem ever. I've had people look at me, but who knows what they're thinking? But they've never said anything to
Yeah.
me, and yeah, I haven't experienced a lot of the issues that I know that a lot of my friends have had. And they live in like LA, West Hollywood, and so it's like
Oh,
that's crazy. But
that's
yeah, I think California is actually really accepting, and I don't think I'm ever going to leave California as much as
well, then I guess that's where I'll go.
I love. And there's a lot of us here, so there's a nice community here. But
Yeah.
yeah, and if shit goes down with the election, I think the last place that anything's going to change is California.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's kind of like it's been high on my list of places to go to get out of off the East
Yeah,
Coast. It just seems like, yeah, everywhere is kind of um buckling down for the next
yeah.
wave of what's going to happen to us. Um,
But if I'm being honest,
but
when I
yeah,
went to Idaho, I didn't feel any like I certainly got looks, but I didn't. No one talked to me. No one said shit to me,
yeah,
and I was so scared going up there that they're all gonna like say shit to me. But I'm like, just fuck, just deal with it.
well,
And I think it's just like if you have the confidence and you just do it, and just like when you're going to some place you shouldn't be, if you act like you're supposed to be there, they're gonna ignore you. That same type of thing. Like if I'm not acting awkward and whatnot, like nobody's
yeah,
gonna do anything. And
yeah. It's the whole like not rubbing it in people's
yeah,
faces kind of thing. I feel like there's a lot of um yeah, like I know a lot of people who are the militant kind of like, you have to accept me. Like everyone around me has to, like, if you don't accept me, you're a jerk. And it's like, I don't know. I guess I've gotten to the point where it's like, I'm not gonna, don't start no stuff, won't be no
yeah,
stuff kind of thing. Of um, I know I've been around people and like they clearly do not appreciate what I'm doing, or endorse it at any
sure,
point. But I'm not like, they're not going to go out of their way to be mean because they have 10 other things that are on
yeah.
their mind besides picking on a trans person that's going to beat them up.
And most
Um,
people do. And most people have things to do other than talk about this. And if this is what they're talking about, they have issues.
yeah,
They don't have
yeah,
much of a life, and they need to get one. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I find that like a lot of yeah, like no one really wants to go out and pick a fight. I don't think. From especially if they don't have to. Like, the majority of people that I've seen don't want to go out and like start a fight. I feel like if you get run across one of those people, it's just sort of luck of the draw.
I'd like to see him
But
try too. Come on.
yeah. Yeah. Ooh, ooh. Uh,
I like to flex a lot. I spend most of my like afternoons flexing in the mirror, and my wife comes in and goes, "Oh my
really?
god, what are you doing again?"
Can we may need to do that during
Oh,
after hours.
I'm pretty bad.
That's awesome. Um, yeah. That's fantastic. Oh, speaking of which, I guess we could it is getting close up there. Do y'all want to go and do final thoughts and then jump into that?
Final thoughts.
Yeah.
Check.
Is that yeah? Yeah. I guess Mika, do you want to go ahead and kick us off?
Final thoughts. Let's see.
Unless you guys have any more questions too, by the way. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to like
shoot
cut
away
it
if you have
down.
anything else.
I'm all out of questions.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. I'll just say I never know how to handle this, but I will say, Maddie, I love your outlook on life. I love how you're not like trans up in front. You're kind of like, I'm a person first. Trans is just a part of me. That's exactly how I live my life, and I love it. And yeah, I kind of wish more trans people would be like that. If I was honest.
Can I ask you something? Yeah.
Me? 4.5.
What's that?
Right? Oh, sorry.
Oh my
I
God.
jumped the gun there. What was your question?
Was was that moving it to the background? Like, did you start that way, or did it like when did that happen for you? Because it's like happened for me in the past year, and I was like, oh well, I'm doing this less. But have you always been that way, or was that a process for you as
So,
well?
kind of when I first jumped on Instagram, I was kind of trying to reach out to other trans parents. And then my Instagram kind of evolved into my whole trans journey
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. But then the more people I followed on Instagram, the more trans stuff I saw constantly.
Right.
And they're always talking about being trans. And people I see on TikTok, trans people only talk about or post about being
Yeah.
trans. And honestly, I thought it was just kind of boring.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I transitioned my Instagram to more of like a entertainment comedy
Right. Which is funny,
page,
by
I
the way.
guess.
I love it.
And I like to poke fun of being trans because I like to make fun of myself. So
That's
yeah, it's just and then I like to
Working
say
it.
all the time that I'm so much more than just my gender.
Yeah.
Being trans is just a part of who I am.
Totally.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I find that like when we first start, the excitement of all that is just really overwhelming. And yeah, let's talk about trans stuff all the time. And then after a while, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're right. It just kind of gets boring. Like I liked all this other stuff before. Like, can we talk about that stuff now? Yeah, I'm trans. Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on. But yeah, I just wondered like, yeah, that's kind of been my experience too. I did that same thing, and I'm just like, I'm over talking about trans all the time. Let's talk about just me being a person. So yeah, I totally get it.
That's actually why I follow so few people on Instagram
Yeah.
because I do have a lot of trans friends, but that's kind of all I talk about. So I purposely limit my following to just under 30
Yeah.
people.
Like I'm happy to talk about it, and just not all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Bree?
So I guess it's not so much a final thought, but more of a final. Let me tell you why I started following you in the first place. There was a video that you put out in June where you were playing the guitar for your kiddo, and it just really like ripped a hole open in my heart. And I was like, that is amazing. And I was just like, I just watched it. Boom, follow, done. 'Cause I was kind of like, I got on Instagram in February, and I was just kind of like lost. And I just kept slowly trying to find some like role models or what the fuck I was supposed to do in the first place. And me having that 2-year-old, it's like, what the hell do I do? And it's like I saw you with your kiddo, and I was like, that's pretty fucking cool right there. So
Was it the one where I was making
that
fun
is
of
how I
him?
found it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas like,
Like
singing
annoying the
to
shit
him
out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our
Definitely.
job as
like,
dads, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
dad jokes don't stop just because we transitioned. We're still
They
No.
just get
They
better.
just
They get
they
better.
get
and
better.
compounded.
They get better. Yeah. More people watch them. That was one thing that I used to use as like a practicing my voice is I'd tell dad jokes as reels in my new
Oh my
voice.
God.
Did never work out very well.
Well, thank you
But-
for telling me that. Obviously, all of us being a dad is such a big part of our lives, and I think it should be celebrated. And girl dad girls are awesome, and we have a unique
Yeah.
experience. And being a parent is one of the greatest things I've ever done, and I embrace that so much more now than I did before. And
Yeah.
it's
I love you. You're so cool.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think your story is just amazing. It seems like you are one of those people who put your mind to something and you get it done, which is just so refreshing from so many other things that I've seen in the past of people just making promises and not really following through with them. And it seemed like you're really successful with all the stuff that you do too, which is like amazing when you put your heart into something and get good results out of it. But yeah, it's been like amazing. Just like everything that's cool. It's like, oh yeah, Maddie's done it. Sweet. Like, oh, play guitar. Oh, okay, yeah.
Not well, but I don't care. Whatever.
That's awesome. No, but yeah, yeah, it's been great. Like just getting to hear all the ways that like Mika saying that like you're more the dimensionality is more than just two dimensional with trans and you have more facets than
Yeah.
that, which is awesome to learn about. And I think it's really important for people the people who watch this stuff to learn that like it's okay to not just focus on being trans and
Yeah.
you can
Like
be
celebrate it.
interesting.
Give it the
Yeah.
space. Do your teenager years, but then grow
Yeah.
beyond it because there's so much more life
That's correct.
there.
Yeah, keep being you. Don't get like I know a lot of people give up like I had somebody tell me they're like, "Oh, you're gonna give up sports now, right?" And I'm like, I mean, not because of that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to get in fights anymore.
And sports girls are hot too. Like hick
Mm,
girls, country girls, sports girls, theater
oh yeah,
girls,
I
all
mean,
that shit.
yeah.
They're all
Give me some robots and I'm
robot
all
girls.
good.
Yes.
Yeah. But well, very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. This is a lot of fun. You
Yeah,
guys are awesome. I really had a good time.
Oh,
I honestly
yeah.
didn't know what to expect, and this was really cool.
We try to keep it light.
I love it.
Um, well, awesome. Mika, do you want to do the outro now?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
Sounds like Bree's audio may be lagging up a little bit, but okay. Yeah, so anyways, Maddie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And yeah, and for those who are watching, if you are not a Patreon subscriber, this is where we're going to leave you. But if you are a Patreon subscriber, please stay tuned for the after hours, which is coming up. And for Girl Dad Girls, I am that QT Danny B. We have Michaelaville and Bree St. Marie. And if you're not a Patreon subscriber, we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Adios.
This has been a production of Girl Dad Girls Podcast. Check out new episodes every Thursday. If you are interested in knowing more, please email info@girldadgirls.com or find us on Instagram @girldadgirls. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.